Citroen has a long-standing history for creating big, luxurious flagships, and this, the new C5 X, is its latest one. Designed to sit at the very top of the French firm's range, it's there to show exactly what Citroen can do. Now, many of the C5 X's predecessors were somewhat flawed gems, but is that going to be the case for this latest range topper? Well, that's what we've come today to find out. It's hard not to be impressed by the look of the new C5 X. There are a range of really neat touches, from the V-shaped LED headlights to the similarly shaped rear lights. It's a physically large car, this one, but with many cuts and influences on the side, it does manage to disguise its bulk overall quite well. We particularly like the clamshell bonnet with its deep recesses either side, which is not really like anything else on the road today. As the flagship to Citroen's range, the C5 X gains all of the firm's latest bells and whistles. Now, there's a 12-inch touchscreen in the middle of the cabin, and this is running its latest software too, so it is really responsive, nice and easy to use, with loads of really clear graphics. It's also got over-the-air compatibility, so meaning that you can remotely update the system so that it's always using the correct version. That's really good for future-proofing the car too, because it means in the future, used models aren't going to be on an old system. They can keep upgrading as time progresses. Elsewhere, we've got some nice physical controls for heating and ventilation via some very pleasant dials. And actually the material quality is really good too. There's some stitched leather down the side, and in the middle we've got a pretty decent sized bin. I also like these little highlighty sections which help to brighten up the car and also give it a slightly more upmarket feel. It's good architecture and it's a good setup. I just think this switchgear area is just a little bit too small and fiddly, as it is on other Citroen cars. However, overall it's very pleasant and it does feel upmarket. Though the boot space in the C5 X might be a little bit compromised, you can see that they've put more of an emphasis on rear seat comfort when you sit in the back of the car. There's loads of legroom here. The seat is in my position and I'm just under 6 foot, and yeah, I've got loads of space, loads of footroom too. Knee room and legroom are excellent, and there's lots of headroom too. So if you are frequently taking passengers and you want to keep those passengers very happy, the C5 X is going to be a great choice just because of that space. The central squab is a bit on the small side, but there's not too much of a hump, so you do still get plenty of legroom for that middle seat passenger. Elsewhere, you've got some USB connectors here and some individual fans. And though this material is a bit scratchy, the overall feeling is good and space is excellent. At 485 litres, the boot of the C5 X is actually a little bit on the small size and some way behind the 625 litres that you'll get in the Skoda Superb hatch. That said, it's nice and low, so putting larger items in isn't going to be much of a struggle, and there's not too much of a lip either. However, it does narrow slightly, and though you can lower the rear seats down to extend the space further, that area is quite low, so you're not going to be able to get taller items in there. It's a shame actually, because it is a large car, but this design just feels like it cuts back on the amount of practicality you get overall. Citroen has made no bones about the fact that the C5 X is designed around comfort, and that's quite nice to hear these days when a lot of manufacturers have a real focus on sportiness and making a car as dynamic as possible, even if it might not be the type of car that deserves that sort of thing. And as a result, this car is really comfortable to drive. The ride is really good, and though you do get a bit of a lean as a result of that suspension setup, I think it's a pretty worthy trade-off. The car we're driving today is the entry-level 1.2 litre 3-cylinder petrol, and I don't think it's the right engine for this car personally. It feels a little bit too thrummy, it's a little bit uncultured, and it doesn't match the overall feel of the car. I know it might not be a good word to say these days, but the C5 X feels like the type of car that would really suit a nice silky diesel engine, particularly for when you're travelling long distances. Having said that, the plug-in hybrid will no doubt be the choice of many people. However, this 1.2 litre engine does bring the entry price down. With prices starting at just over 27 grand and this one around 30, it's pretty good value for money. What about the other aspects of the driving experience? Well, the steering is very light and the brakes are quite squashy. They're both aspects of Citroen cars that we've come to expect. I just like a little bit more sharpness from the brakes. and I'd like a little bit more responsiveness on the steering. That engine just feels a little bit drawn out, and with a 0 to 60 time of just over 10 seconds, it's definitely not quick. It just doesn't seem to suit the character of the car. It's a big, luxurious shooting brake style thing, and I feel like it deserves a little bit more power. There is a more powerful version of this 1.2 litre engine, but it's still going to have that same kind of thrummy responsiveness. However, with 48.6 mpg combined, it is pleasantly frugal, and I imagine you'll actually be able to get better results than that when you're on the motorway. It's a really refreshingly comfortable car to drive, actually. It's not one that you feel like hustling quickly, it's just one that you enjoy the ride in. The larger wheels that we've got on this car do kick off a little bit of noise. Visibility isn't the best over the shoulder. You have got quite a few pillars blocking your way, and the rear view visibility is not good because of that almost post-box style opening for the rear screen. But it's weird. The fundamentals aren't brilliant, but it's hard not to be charmed by this car because it's comfortable, because it's refined, because it's quiet. And they're all aspects we've come to expect from Citroen, but they haven't always been delivered. This car seems to really nail them. The new C5 X feels like a fitting continuation of a tradition for big, interesting and exciting Citroens. It might be flawed in some areas. The boot doesn't feel overly large and the brakes do feel quite soft, but actually that reliance on comfort that you get is refreshingly different to other cars in this segment. Sure, it might not beat them in terms of practicality nor driver involvement, but actually with the character that it has and the comfort that it brings, this is still a very admirable choice. Thank you for watching this Motors.co.uk new car review on the Citroen C5 X. Now if you have enjoyed this video, please remember to give us a like. And what do you think? Thank you for watching this new car review. Thank you for watching this Motors.co.uk new car review on the Citroen C5 X. Now, what do you think of this car? Leave us a comment in the section below. And if you have enjoyed this video, remember to give us a like. And since you're here, please remember to subscribe to the Motors.co.uk YouTube channel, hitting that bell icon so you're notified every time we upload a new review.